Let's tell the truth. Here's a part of history that makes people uncomfortable. Native nations fought fiercely for their freedom, for their land, for their independence, but they also owned enslaved Africans. This is the history most people never hear, a critical part of American history that rarely gets talked about. Not because it didn't happen, but because it complicates the story. This isn't about erasing injustice. It's about telling the truth. For centuries, native nations fought to protect their land, culture, and sovereignty. When the young nation of the United States began expanding westward, native resistance grew fierce. War leaders like Tecumseh tried to unite tribes into a powerful confederacy to stop American expansion. Others, like John Ross of the Cherokee Nation, fought with diplomacy and law, but power often ignored justice. So in 1830, President Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act. Entire nations were forced from their homelands. The result was one of the darkest migrations in American history, the Trail of Tears. Thousands died marching west. Native nations were fighting for survival. But their history isn't clean. Several of the so-called five civilized tribes, the Cherokee Nation, Choctaw Nation, Chickasaw Nation, Creek Nation, and Seminole Nation, adopted parts of Southern plantation culture, and with it, slavery. By the early 1800s, some native elites owned enslaved African Americans and operated plantations similar to those in the American South. Not every native person participated, but the system existed, and it's a reality history often leaves out. Oppression and resistance can exist in the same story. Yes, native nations were victims of broken treaties, forced removal, and culture destruction. But some members of those nations also took part in the brutal institution of slavery. The truth about history isn't always comfortable, but the full story matters because understanding the past, the courage, the struggle, and the contradictions is the only way to truly understand America.